Welcome back to Dirt Nap Ballistics. Today we are going out to American shooting centers where we are going to shoot a handful of 10-shot groups at our final load, seating depth and powder charge, just to test out how the annealing and also the mandreling affects our SD and ES of the groups. Hoping to get a better average velocity out of these groups and also see a true group size from these rounds. So hoping that the ADG brass with the Mandreled full-length size die works the best, and so that's what we're running with moving forward. If it doesn't perform the way we're looking to, maybe we go back to the drawing board, but we are going to shoot 10 rounds at how we performed the sizing process before we made the DIY annealer, and so that is going to be once fired Hornady brass, 67.5 grains of Hodgdon H1000 seated to 2.673 cartridge space to ogive with the Berger 180 VLDHs, and then we are going to have a 10 round group of the same cartridge space to ogive, same seating, same powder charge, everything. The only difference is this has been annealed, and then we're going to have 10 rounds of annealed Hornady brass with a mandrel run through the neck to set the inside diameter to about 2 thou of neck tension, accounting for some spring brack. We might see a little bit variation in that neck tension. And then finally, we have our ADG brass. This is virgin brass. This has never been fired before. We sized it and then we put it through the mandrel and seated it to the same cartridge space to ogive as the other rounds. So excited to see how these perform today. Definitely have a lot of rounds that we're going to put on paper. So hopefully we shoot well and I don't jerk any shots, but let's head out to the range and see how they perform. Okay, working on the brass prep for the upcoming groups, doing the annealing versus unannealed, and then annealed and mandreled versus just annealed. So we have 20 cases here. These have been cleaned, but they have not been annealed. And so what we're going to do today is, I already had it up. We're going to set a timer and see how quickly we can anneal these 20 cases. So we'll include the startup time. And so let me get one more thing. Okay, we are prepped. So with that, we will start the time now. Right at 4 minutes and 12 seconds for 20 cases. Probably could do it more efficiently, but I feel like that's not too slow. One thing that's been interesting while doing these cases is the coloration difference from the test brass I did in the last one to the clean brass is really significant. You can see the line on there if you look in there, but it's not as contrasted as the other ones. Here's one of the test pieces of brass. So you can see the coloration change on there is pretty significant. And comparing that to one of the ones we just did, not sure the reason why. You can still make out the line where it got hot to, but don't know why it just didn't change the color, but not a big deal. So with brass annealed, we will now mandrel, full length size, and then mandrel it up, trim chamfer to burr, primer, powder, seat the bullets, and then go shoot. Okay, new reloading equipment. We have the 21st Century Expander mandrel with the 7mm insert, and so we have this set up. We will take a case. This has been lubed. We will run it up, and we'll see the case come through the peep, and able to get the full case mouth in there without denting the thing, case mouth at the top. And so we have an 2000th neck tension piece of brass, annealed, mandreled, and full length sized. We already sized them with the RCBS Matchmaster set. And so with that, we will keep mandreling, leaving 10 of those unmandreled to do the annealing test group. Okay, so we have the 3 additional groups that we're going to shoot beyond our original. So we're going to shoot 10 rounds of once fired Hornady brass with a full length size and die. These are in here, same bushing as the other one. Ooh, open it upside down. So these are ready to go. And then after we got the annealer, we also prepped a bunch of cases, but we did 10 with annealed and bushing die, and then mandreled. And then we have 10 with the black marks on the edge, which are annealed and then full length sized. And then we have our ADG brass. So finally I'm going to take this out. We mandreled these, and then that's it. So we'll put these 10 rounds out alongside that other and just look at the variation between the 3 or 4 different groups. So just finished loading up the ADG brass, and one of the things that I've struggled with is bullet seating depth consistency. So I messed up this round. It's noticeably shorter. I was trying to do an additional touch up and did not put the round in the shell holder, so it is significantly smaller. So I'm going to earmark that one for the group and for the video, but I was trying to get to 2.673, which these 4 are, but then I have some at 2.674. And then some at 2.675 or larger. And I don't adjust the die settings, and I do the same seating pressure. So not sure why the seating depth itself is inconsistent on this. The lock ring's tight and the die shouldn't be moving. So any feedback y'all have would be great, but I guess I'll just tweak these by 1 thou, these by 2 thou, and that way they're all reading on the micrometer to the same. So we'll finish these up, and then we'll move to the annealed and full length sized, but no mandrel as the next group. With that wrapped up, let's head to the range. So before we show the last shot in this group, just wanted to talk through it because I know I jerked this shot, and there's some discussion on some of the last videos about justifying jerk shots and whatnot. There was a gentleman next to me shooting a braked Magnum, or what I expect to be a braked Magnum because of the concussive force coming off his rifle. But he shot almost the exact same time I broke my shot. The concussive blast from his brake hit the camera. You can see it distort the camera right here. So the camera's distorting from his muzzle blast. I flinch and pull my head up off the rifle. And as I do that, you can see my finger start to break as well. So as I'm coming off the rifle from his muzzle brake, I'm also breaking my shot, which led to a not so great last shot of that group. Unfortunate, but it happens. Okay, those 4 10-round groups are downrange, and I think really, really interesting results. With the first group, this is the once fired Hornady brass that we just full length sized, no mandrel, no annealing or anything like that. We see the verticality pop back up again that we had seen before, and that's why I went up to 300 to see if it still popped through. I didn't quite see it there, so not really sure what was happening, but I mean, we have 1.05 of pure vertical in this group. The average velocity was right around where we were seeing it. The SD was in a reasonable range for what we'd seen it. We'd always kind of seen it in the high single digits, low double digits, so right in line with what we had seen before. Then we got to the twice fired annealed full length size, no mandrel, and we see a huge spike up in velocity. We see an increase of around 70 feet per second from the annealed brass versus the unannealed brass, using the same full length sizing die, same powder charge, same seating depth. So I thought that was pretty wild. We did see the SDs stay in that same range, but we saw the group shrink up drastically. But really nice to see the verticality go away. Smaller group overall, with the majority right around the center. Then we get to the annealed, full length sized, and mandreled brass. And what I thought was really interesting here is that the SDs on the 10 rounds really opened up a little bit. I was really hoping that the inner dimension of the neck being consistent would help decrease the SDs, not open it up. We saw a slight drop in speed, about 10-15 feet per second. Nothing drastic, but still a pretty large increase over the unannealed brass. Once again, we saw a pretty good group, with most of the groups falling in a small range. And then finally we have the ADG brass. So this is virgin brass, hasn't been annealed. I believe earlier in the video I said we full length sized it. I did not. I just mandreled it and then threw the powder and seeded the bullets there. So best group of the day. Not really complaining on that. What I don't like is, once again, kind of a higher SD. So not quite sure if I want to go back and do some additional powder tests with the ADG brass, just to see if there's a node where it might like. I don't really want to go back to the drawing board, but I need to try to figure that out. One of the good things is, one of the next videos we'll talk through doing the 308, reloading for that. And I started off with the alpha brass instead of reloading through some leftover Hornady brass by happenstance. But after doing this and seeing the changes from the Hornady to the ADG brass, it really kind of makes me feel like those initial tests were kind of somewhat wasted, because we weren't following the same process that we would. I didn't think it would cause as much of a difference in the group size and also the velocities, but we saw a pretty significant difference here. So one thing to consider as hopefully I get more rifles, reload more cartridges, and do some more testing in the future. Overall, I think it's pretty cool. You know, we had seen verticality at 100. We saw that pop up once again with a larger group size. Still seeing all of them stacked pretty good windage, but just high and low. And then seeing the difference that annealing can do, and then also the mandrel and how that changes our brass performance and bullet performance downrange. With that, we'll wrap it up here. Appreciate your time. Stay safe, shoot straight.